Welcome to the Flex Forward podcast, where grit meets growth. With your host, Nic Espanet, bringing you stories of resilience, reinvention, and the real climb to success.
All right, everyone, welcome to the Flex Forward podcast. Today, we're joined by Amy Goodson. Amy is a sports dietitian and nutritional communication consultant. She also is the owner of the Sports Nutrition Playbook, and she's written a book by the same title, and she has a couple other businesses. I'll let her give more details on. But Amy, welcome to the Flex Forward podcast. We're so glad to have you. Can you let our listeners know a little more about you and your businesses?
Thank you, Nick, for having me. Yes, I can. So I have been proudly a sports dietitian here in the DFW area for 20 years now. I can say that. So for 20 years, I've worked, my first 11 years, I worked full-time Pee Wee to Pro in sports nutrition. Most of our big teams in DFW, worked at my alma mater, TCU Athletics, for 10 and a half years. So had a really fortunate ride and run of opportunities in the sports nutrition world. To your point, now own my own businesses. So in my Amy Goodson RD business, the one I've had for 10 years, I do quite a bit of public speaking. I do media work. I do brand development, like consulting and program development. Then we have Amy Goodson RD courses, which that is actually a business for the professionals. So for dietitians, athletic trainers, and strength coaches, we provide continuing education courses, variety of them in the sports nutrition world. And then our consumer-facing business that you mentioned is the Sports Nutrition Playbook. And I have 12 sports dietitians, registered dietitians, and we do all virtual one-on-one nutrition counseling covered by medical insurance, which is huge for people. The statistic is that 94% of people can see a registered dietitian for free. My goal is to expand access to athletes and fitness enthusiasts for nutrition. And as a part of that business, we also have a small sports nutrition program for colleges that are under-resourced and not able to have a dietitian on staff. So it's a fun world of all the things that I love.
Almost like a fractional sports nutritionist for the colleges. That's awesome. Yeah. Well, sound like you have a lot of different irons in the fire, but all related to the nutrition world. So that is exciting. There's a lot of sports or just nutritionists out there. What got you into the sports realm of it? How did you end up kind of focused in that area?
So I got into the sports nutrition world simply. I loved fitness when I was kind of in high school and college. I actually have a degree in communications from TCU first, and I had a minor in exercise physiology, just always kind of had a love for it. Personally, was interested in nutrition. So I got my minor in that and then ended up going to Texas Women's University in Denton, Texas, where I did a double master's in exercise and sports nutrition. And from there, I was hooked. I knew I wanted to work with athletes, typically in the exercise population, motivated people wanting to make changes. And I was super fortunate to get a job immediately in sports nutrition, which really kind of launched. I stayed at my first job for almost 11 years, which is crazy. Most people don't do that. But it was just it was the love of sports, exercise tied to nutrition, and getting to do that at all levels was really exciting to me.
Awesome. Well, I would think a lot of people want to head down that path. What is something that sets you apart from other people in the sports nutrition world or sports registered dietitian?
Yeah, you got it. So when I started in 2006, there were a lot less of us. So sports nutrition was popular. It was not prominent. So at that time, there was one full-time dietitian in the NFL. Now there's 32 full-time dietitians in the NFL. Colleges were just starting to add sports dietitians more as a consultant. Full-time roles were just getting going. And so I am a girl that believes in favor and being blessed. I'm a hard worker, but I rolled into the industry at the right time. Honestly, it's very saturated now. And because of that, I had the opportunity to work in so many different environments. I worked for a big sports medicine facility that was a part of a major hospital system in the DFW area. And they originally brought me on to be the sports dietitian for TCU. Well, I always was doing speaking and media and working with so many groups, seeing individual clients, and it just started connecting me. I spent 6 years working for the Texas Rangers, 4.5 years working for the Dallas Cowboys. Cowboys. I've worked in the NBA G League. So, it's one of those things that I think you only get the experience by working. I tell my parents a lot. I was like, I'm just so glad I worked a lot because there were so many opportunities, and honestly, my job was really fun and I loved it. And so I just said yes all the time so that I hope to one day say no to what I didn't want to do. So I think the main thing I would say that differentiates me is because of when I started, I basically got to work Pee Wee to pro in so many different sports because the opportunity was there. Fast forward 20 years, you've done that, the worlds. I've stood in middle school sports. I've stood at World Series games, so that combination really helps. Plus getting to educate. So I do quite a bit of public speaking and education for athletic trainers, for coaches, strength coaches, parents, organizations. And so it really offers a lot of opportunity. It's always been very important to me to not just, work with athletes, but provide resources to the public as well.
That's awesome. It's not you're working with athletes, but also helping the people who may not have access to that. And then getting out there and promoting that insurance covers it, that people can get out and take advantage of it. And I love it being in the sports world because you said you have a motivated audience a lot of times. Yeah. And so that's a bit, I think is great because the people, you see the results and they're wanting to learn. So as you've gone through your journey, have you come across any resources that help you get better at some of the things you've done, podcasts, books, mentors, anything like that you can recommend to the listeners or give them some tips?
100%. So as a registered dietitian, imagine this, you're not trained a lot in business or at all. And so when I launched into having my own business, there was a lot of learning curves. Lucky for me, I had started every position or job I had ever had from scratch. So I was constantly learning to go into an environment or an organization and figure out how to make a program and make something work. So that was very helpful for starting my own business. But a lot of it was really starting to just take courses and learn, take webinars. One of my favorite books as I started to grow is called Buy Back Your Time by Dan Martell. Yeah. Very helpful in regards when you started like hiring people and scaling. I'm a pretty big fan of Alex Hormozi and his books that are out there. He's got a podcast as well, and listening to, just all the kind of different business books. I would say I also am a huge fan of Darius Daniels. He's actually like a pastor and a marketplace entrepreneur. And I've done quite a bit. He has, some personal development as well as business courses. And being in those types of mastermind courses for me were very helpful because even if you're not asking questions, you can learn from other people. I've found it more beneficial to be in programs where it's not dietitians. So I can learn like, what are other people doing for marketing? What are other people doing for business? So I've kind of jumped in a variety of mastermind courses, business courses, personal development, take a webinar here, trying to learn as much as I can. I'm also a big fan. Dave Ramsey has a podcast called EntreLeadership. And it's like the blend of entrepreneurship and leadership designed more for the small business, and small can be relative, but I love it because he coaches on finances, on succession planning, on scaling, so many things. So those are some of my favorites that have just kind of helped me along the way. And, you definitely have to put forth the effort to learn, but if you'll go to the right resources, it's helpful.
Yeah, a couple of things you said there's, you as a dietitian, you got zero financial or business. And same as I went to physical therapy school. So I took all my prerequisites, had my master's, but when I got, and I really didn't need it. Well, I did if I ever wanted to start a business, but when I got into commercial real estate, I'm like, I need it. So I encourage my children, their friends. I'm like, if you're going to be a doctor, a physical therapist, a dietitian, a lawyer, take a finance class, take at least a basic so you understand the books. I had a guy that I know, he's a physician, and he had his head down doing taking care of his patients, was office manager, was still in, just robbing him blind. And he was focused on getting the care done, but then they find out that somebody is stealing from him. And it's just, it may be that if he would at least had a little economic understanding of financing, he may have caught it earlier or caught it, never let it happen, but it's just things like that. So, you're not having to go out and learn what a T12 or a P&L and how a balance sheet works, all this stuff that's like, wow, this is a foreign language.
I know. I'm a big believer that like you're a product of your experiences. Everything happens for a reason. But if anyone says, if you could go back and change one thing, what would you change? I was like, I would take a business course and perhaps I would actually probably get a minor in business because my parents were entrepreneurs. So I was able to learn. My dad's very wise in that space. He's always owned his own business. I was terrified of owning my own business because they were entrepreneurs and I knew what that looked like. And I just did not have a good knowledge graph. So I'm like, take a business. Nowadays, too, you don't even just have to go to college. There are so many webinars, there's courses, on-demand courses, live courses. Oh my gosh, that you can just
Academy. There's
learn.
all kinds of things.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, learn. And I would definitely, if you're going to launch your own business, do that first. That's a learning
definitely.
curve.
Well, and as you're going, my oldest is wanting to go to law school. I'm like, take a couple of. I know it's going to be harder, and if it takes you an extra semester, that's fine.
So worth it.
You're not going to like it now, but 10 years from now, you're going to be so glad that you have at least a basic understanding. She did take a statistics class.
I had to take that.
But before it has a business, but it even had like some budgeting, personal budgeting. It sounded like a pretty neat class that she was telling me about.
Well, and I see now, I mentor a lot of young dietitians, and I'm a dietetic preceptor for a variety of dietetic internship programs. And I've had some of them say that now there are like entrepreneurship classes. That's only popped up in the last 5+ years. Like that wasn't a thing, I don't feel like. And even if you think you will ever have your own business or do something like that, I'm like, just take it. And it really helps you even in a job. I feel like even if you work day to day, understanding bigger picture business is so helpful, and just the everyday principles of it. It was a bit to learn. And I actually love business now. And I love to like listen. I just started listening to a book today actually called The Geek Way. And if you've ever heard of it, I'll let you know. But it's all about like technology and business and how those worlds jive, and how, that right now is such a, technology and AI is what we're doing. So I think especially nowadays, you have to always be learning to stay on top of things because things move so quickly. And I don't feel like that was always the case.
No, for sure. Especially AI. It's just, I feel like it's shifted and
it has in the last month.
Either
literally
better get on board with it, or it's going to pass you by because it's not stopping. The toothpaste is out of the tube.
I was at a conference in LA 2 weeks ago, and it was like a connected health and fitness conference. It was kind of the blend of fitness meets technology meets AI, with like the biggest wearables and gyms and fitness like that there are. And there was a guy there who owns a very large fitness company that's nationwide. And he was like, I'm a tech guy, and I'm just telling you that what has happened in AI in the last few weeks will be bigger than like the launch of electricity, the printing press, even the internet. He said, because the pace and the speed in which it will move is so fast, it will just blow all of those things away. So it's very interesting to see what's happening. And, since I always think of like, you're running along something, trying to like jump in, like when we're taping this, we just had the Winter Olympics. And I feel like you like are running along the bobsled. And if you don't just hurry up and jump in, you're going to just fly off the back and get left behind.
And no catching up.
Lose the race. Yes.
For sure. So what's one of your biggest challenges you've had to overcome in your career path and journey?
One of the biggest, besides not taking a business class, has been really understanding how to market and get yourself out there without having to spend gazillions of dollars. So in my field, fortunately, I think I'm pretty well known. I've spent a lot of time in this space. I'm very involved professionally, and it has floored me at how long it takes to get stuff out there. The market, everything is so saturated. Ads, saturated. Social media, saturated. And so I think one of the biggest challenges or just like learning curves has been, where do you choose to invest money? And where do you choose to go, maybe I don't need that quite as much? Because especially like being an entrepreneur, I pay people, I'm single, so I am responsible for paying my own stuff. And so from that perspective, you really have to be thinking outside of the box. And it's like, ooh, I could invest money and do this and it will move faster. But if I don't, then I have more cushion and that would help me, but I'm going to move slower, which it's kind of a catch-22. So I would say that has been a challenge, opportunity, learning curve to kind of play both sides and be like, what do I do now? Because sometimes you're like, yes, later. And some things are like, yes, now. There's things that I've learned, like, I would love to do that, but that just hasn't made that's not the driver of where I'm going to get the most income now. So I need to come over here and do this first. And so learning that sometimes doing your favorite thing first may not happen. You might have to do the more logical revenue building thing first to then pave a path to be able to do some of those other things. So that's probably one of the number one things I've had to figure out, I would say.
Well, and you sound like you've just learned as you've moved along, and it's been great. So lots of good nuggets there. And and you have you had mentors? You've talked about a few books and podcasts. Do you have a mentor that you consult with on a regular basis?
I don't know that I would call them mentors. I have a handful of friends that I was always looking for, a group of friends that basically were similar in business to me. We're all leaders and entrepreneurs. That could also be my friends that were in the same like spiritual that love Jesus like that. But I wanted this little group, and it took a bit, but I found us and I put us all together. And I have found that in the nutrition world specifically, a lot of dietitians that are my mentors that have probably helped me just generally in business or generally in my profession aren't as skilled in my business area, because scaling, growing big dietitian businesses is a little bit less of a thing. So I have a few that have helped me more just generally in the profession, always willing to connect me to people. But I find that the group of us that we're all similar, we do similar things in business. That has been the power of the mastermind to me is huge, because you can learn from what someone else is doing. We all tend to be stronger in one area or the other. And so being able to help each other, it's almost like a mentoring, friend, coaching group that we've put together. So I would say from a professional standpoint, definitely some people that I've sought out, and that can connect you. But from where I am now in business, my little small group has been probably the most beneficial. We're on a text group together. We can ask each other. We help each other. And so that's been really key. You don't need a big group. You just need a small niche group that is
I think a smaller one's better. I've been part of quite a few masterminds, and some of them got really big, and you're lost even if they try. And then, I'm part of a group of other real estate owners. There's 5 of us, and we have a WhatsApp group and meet every other week, every other Wednesday. And so I pick up so much from those guys.
Huge.
And hopefully I give back. I want to always give back more, but having that and hearing what they're doing and going through, or if they've been through something similar in their past, or it's just being able to bounce it off is so awesome.
I love it. And too, when they're like your friends, 1 second we're sending each other encouraging messages. One's having a baby, one's doing this. And one day we're talking about, like, how do you build Aetna? So it's helpful to, I think, have people that you trust, and that's that tight circle, and that you can share wins and losses with, and really that you can ask questions to. It's very interesting. Like I said, we all do very similar lines of business, but we all tend to have strengths in different areas, and we almost like friend business coach each other, which is really phenomenal.
That's awesome. Well, congratulations. Sounds like things are going really well in your business, and and sure you've got a lot of things that are on your plate at all times, and it's a lot of entrepreneurs start more and more busy. You just may start thinking about different ways to create other forms of passive income that don't involve you to get away. What are your thoughts on people that doing alternative investments or different things that don't require your input or near as much of your input?
Yeah, so I have a few of these like in my space. So on my Amy Goodson RD courses world, like this world of passive income is one of the things I wanted to do. Took a bit to build out on the front end, but building out courses, both on demand. I do have a mastermind course that we do, and it's a few calls a month, but relatively speaking, that is a really helpful way to have resources for people. Like in my world, which in lots of worlds, we have to have a specific certification exam to be a certified specialist in sports dietetics. And I always wanted to create an exam prep course for that. And it was quite the endeavor, because it took a lot of science and a lot of stuff. But like all this, that's like we launched it 1 year ago. Smartest thing I've ever done. No discount, no nothing, little marketing. People buy it because they need it.
Yeah.
Key. And so we've done it on the courses side, as you mentioned, the sports nutrition playbook. I don't have it in here with me, but I have a book that I sell. We sell like fact sheet, different things. And I have dietitians that see clients. I don't see them anymore. So they're all, so we generate revenue from all of our dietitians seeing businesses as well. And I do think I haven't launched out into investing into other areas. I know some people doing real estate and all the things, but for me, passive income, I speak, we do webinars, we do the courses. I think I have around 15 revenue streams that are always bringing in different. And, I think that not that you need 15, it's a little much. I don't know that I would recommend that all at the same time. But what I have learned about revenue streams, both passive, both active, and then some are kind of like in the middle. It's so helpful because when one kind of falls down, the other one can kind of pick up. Or you're like, that one's not going really great. Let me mark it over here. And so those types of experiences for me, I have friends that don't have as many revenue streams to pull from. And I'm just about diversifying, because what if the one thing you're banking on goes away, and now with like AI, oh my gosh. So I think that whether you're investing in other things and or looking for passive income, it can take a little bit on the front end. But man, I'm sitting here thinking, thank you for 2022, 23, where I really spent the time and did the work, because now I'm benefiting from it on this end now.
No, great stuff. Well, as for wrapping up the interview, do you have any exciting plans or initiatives in the next 6 to 12 months?
Oh, so many things. So one of my big goals, and I think that this could be applied across the board for people and entrepreneurs, has really been to partner with like bigger clubs and businesses to be a sports nutrition, their resource. So we have some different things that we've launched recently that are partnership opportunities that are feeding more people into our business. We have a few more on the docket, which are great because you can really provide value both ways. They send people to us. We might be providing, whether it's resources, content, videos, all the different things. So I've spent 3 years developing a lot of stuff. So those are really exciting because I feel like I'm finally on the curve, as an entrepreneur. It's like an uphill there. And then I feel like I'm finally on the curve that you're like, oh my gosh, I'm almost just on the highway going straight. So those are exciting. In my book, we just, it'll be printed next week. We just did an update. I produced it and self-published it in 2020 and just published that. I kind of have another book going with the surgeon right now. So that'll probably be another year or so. But so kind of playing around in a lot of different things. Yeah. I like to do new stuff and I like to figure stuff out. So I'm one of those. I told my parents, the one problem, good and bad, is that I only add, I never subtract. So those are some of my fun ones, but it's fun to get to do what you love and make money doing it and be able to offer opportunities to people that can work for you that also want to be in that space. So those are my top. And then like you mentioned at the beginning, building out our insurance-based business. Most people have no idea that they can see a registered dietitian on preventative insurance and it costs them nothing. So that's huge for me in the sports nutrition space to help expand access to middle school, high school, college athletes that I would argue probably, especially in the middle school, high school space, probably less than 1% of them are doing anything with nutrition. So constant journey to offer that to more organizations and whatnot.
Well, what a blessing. And I can tell just talking to you for the last 20, 25 minutes that you love what you do. You have a passion for it. Yeah. So not only is the nutrition side, but also the business side. I think that you just got to, it's exciting to talk to you. So thank you so much
thank you.
For your time today. We really appreciate it. You sharing all this information. If people would like to get in contact with you, what's the best way to go about that?
So you can visit our website. It's thesportsnutritionplaybook.com. And we have all different ways. If you would like to meet with a registered dietitian, you can also text the word insurance to 878-877-6787. And it sends you the information about working with a registered dietitian on medical insurance. And then if you just want to learn about nutrition, we, under the Sports Nutrition Playbook name, I have a podcast, we have a YouTube channel, we have an Instagram channel, constantly just putting out consistent free information to help educate the public. So you can find us via our business name across the board.
Awesome. Great stuff. Amy, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Getting to know you and hear about all your successes. And everyone, be sure and reach out to Amy and connect with her. And thanks everyone for tuning in to the Flex Forward podcast. Be sure to like and share these episodes. Amy, thank you. It's been great.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for listening to the Flex Forward podcast. If you've got grit, growth, and a great story, visit flexforwardpodcast.com/guest to apply and join us on the show.